Everyone, remain calm.
Yeah, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
Somebody talk to me! What is happening?
Welcome to Jurassic World.
You're listening to the Jurassic Park Podcast.
You want to consult here or in my bungalow? Hold on to your butts.
Well, we're back.
Jingle bells jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Very good.
Who in God's name do you think you are?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't introduce myself. Well, I have lots of names.
John Hammond.
Kris Kringle, Santa Claus, Father Christmas, or Nicholas. I'm not just a whimsical figure who wears a charming suit and affects a jolly demeanor. You know, I'm a symbol. I'm a symbol of the human ability to be able to suppress the selfish and hateful tendencies that rule the major part of our lives. If you can't believe, if you can't accept anything on faith, then you're doomed for a life dominated by doubt. But Mr. Collins is completely mistaken. My workshops don't exist in the physical world. They're in the dream world.
People would say they could see the fleas. Oh, I could see the fleas. Mummy, can't you see the fleas?
There isn't any way in which the gentleman can have seen my workshops. They're invisible. He thought I looked like Santa Claus. Again, thank you so much. I shall never forget you. And in all my travels past, and all my travels yet to come, I'll never find a better friend.
Hello, and welcome to the 130th episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Jost, and we're here to discuss all things Jurassic Park. Christmas time is here, and it's also the final episode of 2017. 'Tis the season to celebrate and look back on the amazing year that we've had here on the podcast. So many new segments have come our way. Chaos Theories with Travis Stevens, Extinction Level Jurassic Park, Jay and Ted's Jurassic Adventures, the 2XL Game Trails, Jurassic Pop Quiz. We kicked off the monthly Jurassic Mailbag, the Innovation Center with Tom Fishenden. We did some meetups at Jurassic World, the exhibition, celebrated our 100th episode, did a few giveaways. James and Steve interviewed Jack Horner. It really has been an awesome year all around for the show, and I really hope you've all enjoyed all the hard work that everybody puts into this show each and every week. We've already got a ton of great content planned for you in 2018 with new segments and so much more. I can't wait to get started on the new year and get even closer to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, for this episode, we do have an update on the Dinosaur Protection Group in the news and a little bit from Jurassic World Evolution. And then for our holiday segment this year, we're going to hear from you guys, the listeners, on your Jurassic holiday experiences. So I opened up the phone lines, let you guys call in to tell your stories. I can't wait to play those for everybody. After that, we're going to continue on as usual and present episode 13 of Extinction Level Jurassic Park from Arjun Boss. Now, last time we learned a big revelation about the Spinosaurus being created to remove sick dinosaurs from the island. Now, that's some really big stuff. I loved how he tied that all together. In store for us this week are some really cool crossover scenes from Jurassic Park 3, and I think this is probably the closest that we've gotten to following the crew from JP3. So stay tuned to hear that one. Of course, after Extinction Level, I'll be giving all my thoughts in the after show on episode 13. Of course, you guys know there's going to be a lot to uncover. But stay with us, folks. I know this is a long one because following that, we've got a new edition of the Innovation Center with Tom Fishenden. This time, he's going to give us his thoughts on what he wants to see from the upcoming toy line from Mattel. I've got a little podcast update for you. Keep an eye out this week for Stephen Ray Morris's podcast, See Jurassic Right, with an episode featuring a few of my own stories. Now, keep an eye out on our social media, the website, and all that this week, and we'll let you know when that episode's posted. I had a great time talking with Stephen, so stay tuned for some awesome conversations. Well, as you just heard in this extended intro, this is a packed episode, even on Christmas, so why don't we sit back near the fireplace, watch the snow fall, open up some presents, and get this episode started off with a bit of Jurassic news from around the world.
"18 minutes and your company catches up on 10 years of research."
Access main program. Access new security.
These pictures were taken in hospital in Costa Rica 48 hours ago.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but look.
Boy, we hate being right all the time.
Today, I guarantee it.
Usually around the holidays, you're donating your time, you're giving toys, you're giving back to communities, and this time around, it may be fake, but if you wanted to start awareness for the Dinosaur Protection Group, you signed up for an email on their website, and now you start to get a little bit more information on what that cause is about. I'm going to read from the email here. Welcome. By joining the Dinosaur Protection Group, you can help bring more awareness to the volcano that currently threatens the inhabitants of Isla Nublar. We brought the dinosaurs back into the world. It's now our responsibility to protect these magnificent creatures. As we settle into our new offices, we promise to keep you updated with the latest news and information that we're able to gather. Thank you for being a part of the DPG. Together, we will help protect the dinosaurs. Stay tuned for our updated website and how you can continue to be involved. Claire Deering, founder, Dinosaur Protection Group. So there you have it, that email from the Dinosaur Protection Group and Claire Deering. Right there, they are confirming all the volcanic activity that we saw in the trailer and all this stuff that's happening on Isla Nublar. I am super pumped to find out more. I really hope they give away a lot of details here about how this volcanic activity started, maybe why they built on this island in the first place with that dormant volcano, I guess, and maybe even a little bit about how they intend to save these dinosaurs. That would be great to hear all that information. Now, if you head to JurassicParkPodcast.com, actually, it's in our show notes. I have a link to the article that I wrote with this information. You can see the email right there in the article. And I also posted a little bit about the community and the awareness for the extinct animals and how they have rights too. Tom Fishenden started a great campaign tagging Dinosaur Protection Group with a bunch of other fans that are continuing this trend to bring awareness to this cause. So it's really great to see all these people in the community trying to bring awareness to it. There's also some that are trying to take the other side. Chris Johnson here says extinct animals have no rights. We made it, we patented it, and we own it. So yeah, there's obviously going to be an opposition here. Stay tuned for more updates. We're going to be posting about them as soon as they happen. For now, like I said, head to our show notes to find that article. Next up, IGN released a video on their website showcasing more in-game footage from Jurassic World Evolution, Frontier Development's game. There's some really, really great stuff in this trailer. We do get more amazing pans over the parks that you can build. It looks beautiful. We get Edmontosaurus, Stegosaurus, Ankylosaurus. What do we have? Parasaurolophus, I believe. Brachiosaurus. I think there's Deinonychus. We got that confirmed from one of the developers. Ceratosaurus, that actually looks way better than the version we saw in Jurassic Park 3. The T-Rex, Velociraptors, all that stuff. Some really, really beautiful shots, and I absolutely can't wait to play this game. It looks so beautiful to me. I think they did a great job rendering these dinosaurs. So head to our show notes. Tom Fishenden created a great article here for the website, showcasing all the best moments that we just talked about there. So head to our website, find that link, and take a look.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
This year for our Christmas episode, and especially since it is debuting on the day itself, I thought it would be really great to showcase the thoughts and memories of people from around the community. I reached out and asked people to call into our voicemail line and leave their thoughts and memories about anything, really. It could be Jurassic Park related or even dinosaur related. It really didn't matter. I just wanted to hear what people's best memories about Christmas was relating to our favorite franchise, Jurassic Park. So let's take a few minutes and listen to what everybody had to say.
Hey, my name is John, longtime fan of Jurassic Park since 1993. I'd like to say hello to all the other fans out there and happy holidays to you all. Well, I was 10 years old in 1993 when Jurassic Park came out, and let me tell you, that was a magical time to be a kid. Anybody that was that age, or a little older or a little younger, knows exactly how it felt to look at those toy catalogs and see all those amazing Jurassic Park Kenner toys, and just laying on your bed or sitting on the couch next to the Christmas tree or whatever holiday you celebrate, and just daydream about having a Jungle Explorer or the Big Red Rex. Well, my Christmas of 1993, well, let me go back up just a little bit to St. Nick. I always forget what day that is, but it's in early December. I woke up to find an Alan Grant action figure in the package in my stocking. And let me tell you, that made a great St. Nicholas morning for me. Also, when it got to Christmas of 1993, I remember asking my parents, they always say, what would you want? And even though we didn't have much money, and I came from a really big family, they always did a great job of making us happy, and we didn't need much. But the one thing I asked them for was, I really would like some Jurassic Park toys, and they knew I was such a big fan that whole summer. Unfortunately, on Christmas night, I woke up with the stomach flu, and that was just a horrible, horrible time. But Christmas morning, even though I was still sick, I opened my presents, and my parents got me the Jurassic Park Bush Devil Tracker, the electronic Dilophosaurus, and I'm not sure, but there might have been one or two other figures. But either way, I was thrilled, even though the pictures they took of me would tell a different story, because I'm pale as a ghost, and I'm just not looking happy. But I'm holding the Bush Devil Tracker and the electronic Dilophosaurus and doing my best to smile. But that's my Christmas story of 1993. And like I said, what a great time to be a kid. Growing up in the 90s, Jurassic Park really did it all for me, and I know a lot of other fans. So again, have a happy holidays to all you Jurassic Park fans out there, and let's hope Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is an amazing movie, and hopefully Mattel really delivers on a lot of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World merchandise that we all can enjoy collecting.
Jurassic Park! Oh, I'm hitting this Jurassic Park! Jurassic Park! Jurassic Park!
What do you got so far, bub?
Jurassic Park! Jurassic Park! More dinosaurs! Jurassic Park! Everything's dinosaurs! More dinosaurs!
Cool.
How many dinosaur things am I gonna get? More Jurassic Park! Roar! 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 Oh yeah! Southern Jurassic Park! Oh, cool. Oh, is that one where you put in... Oh yeah. Flesh you mean. Wait, what's it do? Oh cool, it pops his head up. His head ready to attack. Cool. Head ready.
Hi. I saw your tweet about leaving your best Jurassic holiday tale, and I don't have anything really special, but last Christmas, my birthday is about a month before Christmas, and we went to a flea market that's a favorite of ours, me and my family, and I saw a Thrasher T-Rex and a Demon Carnotaur there, and I oohed and awed at them, but I didn't have enough money, and apparently my mom bought them after we left, so for Christmas, she gave me a Thrasher T-Rex and a Demon Carnotaur, and my dad, who makes miniatures and puppets, made me a set of Jurassic Park gates that's on the same scale as them, and it was a really, really good Christmas. So that's my Jurassic Park holiday story. Love you guys' podcast, by the way.
Hey Brad, it's Jay Jurassic here. Well, I just happened to see that video you just posted of you during Christmas time, and that was awesome. That looks really cool. You opening up the Red Rex box. I wish I had footage of Christmas of '93. I don't. I know we talked about it on I think it was like last year's Christmas special. We talked about that. And I don't know, I really just thinking about that Christmas, and I remember you sent me a message the other day about that Christmas special that we did. Just thinking about that Christmas, I don't think there's ever going to be another Christmas as awesome as that '93 Christmas. Seeing those Kenner toys for the very first time. I think the only other Christmas that was, I guess, special would be probably the one for Jurassic Park 3. Not in the sense of the toys and not in the sense of the movie itself, because I'm not the biggest fan of JP3, but because it was, I think, the last Christmas that my grandmother was still around to gift me Jurassic Park items, which she was very much responsible for the Lost World and for the very first Jurassic Park Christmas in 1993. She was the one that got me the Jeep. She was the one that got me Muldoon. I mean, my very first dinosaur, the Dilophosaur, but that 93 Christmas, I remember getting that Jeep and that Muldoon very clearly. And the one for Jurassic Park 3, which was 2001 Christmas, I remember she got me the car, the movie, the VHS. She got me a whole bunch of dinosaurs from that set. The Alpha Pteranodon. It was like most of the entire line that Christmas. And she was mainly responsible for that. And I mean, ever since then, without my grandmother around, I think Christmas has lost a little bit of its awesomeness and whatnot. A lot of people have said I'm a lot of pretty much a Scrooge around Christmas, but it just doesn't have that specialness to it anymore. And even this, like the Jurassic World one, it's different. Most of the things I got myself and some friends and whatnot, but I think those Christmases with my grandmother that were about my favorite movie of all time.
Hello, this is Justin, the host of the Channel Surfing Podcast, and my story is, I don't remember what year it was, I assume it'd be around 97. We had went down to my grandparents on the side of the family. We usually don't get to visit on Christmas, and we had visited them one year, and had a big box. It was a gift for me, and opened it up, and sure enough, it was the Mobile Command Center from the Lost World Jurassic Park. And I remember I was jumping up and down, super excited, immediately opened up out of the box and stuff. We put on the stickers, we set it up, and it was just the coolest toy at the time and stuff. It had the tower with the claw, it had the rip-away front, it had the medical part. It was the coolest toy at the time, and so it was something that I'll always remember for the rest of my life. So just wanted to call and let you guys know that and share my story. So Merry Christmas to you guys, and have a good New Year.
On the 12th day of my visit to Jurassic World, Clara Deering sent to me 12 game wardens running, 11 dinos roaring, 10 stegos and leaping, 9 compies dancing, 8 raptor trainers a milking, 7 swans a slashing, 6 park guests a laying, 5 Chilean sea bass, 4 surviving birds, 3 Costa Rican hens, 2 pterodactyls, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex through a vehicle in a tree.
Hi, it's Scorpio916 on Twitter. Merry Christmas. That would be my dog. I'm sorry. I'm just calling you my Jurassic Christmas story. This was, I believe it was 2011, because that's when this particular item came out. That year, I'd only seen Jurassic Park and Lost World, and I got the Ultimate Collection, or Ultimate Trilogy Blu-ray, and that one had 3 on it. So I think I had a headache that day, so I didn't watch all of it, but I remember watching the first half and loving it, because I was, a kid, and then, going, to bed with a headache, and then coming back and watching the rest, and it was just a great memory, because I specifically remember this one shot. It's a pretty well-loved shot, I think, of the raptor that they trap in the compound, and then it walks out, and it's on the stairs, and it starts doing a little barking call to the other raptors in the jungle. I specifically remember that shot. It was so great seeing that for the first time. By the way, I loved your little Jurassic video of the Red Rex. That was so great. Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. Looking forward to Fallen Kingdom. See you guys.
Hey, Jurassic Park Podcast. This is Dan Squatch 2_6. I wanted to share my Jurassic Christmas moment one time. I hope it qualifies. My favorite Jurassic Christmas moment, I would have to say at 8 years old, was getting the first Papal Green Tyrannosaurus Rex. Man, oh man, it was awesome. I loved it. And I was so amazed how realistic it looked to the film franchise of Jurassic Park, which is so awesome. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Hope you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. Have a good night.
Hey, Brad and the Jurassic Park Podcast. This is Victoria from Victoria's Cantina. So I wanted to share my Christmas story. Going back to 1993, Christmas morning. I was 8 years old, had a huge summer with Jurassic Park, started getting into some of the toys, and Christmas morning, I wake up from Santa Claus. I receive the Stegosaurus with their realistic skin. I thought it was the most amazing thing. Then my grandmother came over, and to both myself and my brother, she gifted us the electronic stomping Tyrannosaurus Rex. The Red Rex, Rexy, was the most amazing toy at that point that I had ever received. I was in love with it. And to this day, she is still loyally by my side. Same year, got some other little dinosaurs here and there. I fondly recall the electronic Dilophosaurus, the Screamer. My brother was a little more fortunate that year. He also got the Demon Carnotaur, and he also got the Jurassic Park Command Compound, which was absolutely incredible. And I was a little bit jealous, and even to this day, I gotta admit, I have a little animosity towards them for receiving such an awesome, incredible toy, but it afforded us hours upon hours of playing and recreating all those awesome scenes from the film. And later on, I did obtain it as an adult, so that was still pretty cool. Got there eventually. So, yeah, Christmas 1993, Jurassic Park was fresh in my mind, and our Christmas was all about the dinosaurs of Jurassic Park by Kenner. So, hope you enjoyed my story. Thanks for sharing the awesome podcast as always. Bye-bye.
Hi, Brad. It's Stephen Ray Morris calling in to tell you my Jurassic Park Christmas story. So, like you, I was 6 when Jurassic Park came out, so that Christmas was a beautiful bounty. And although I don't remember the day itself or anything, I have this picture of me shirtless playing with the visitor center, and I had the Junior Rex and Ellie and Muldoon and Grant and Nedry and a couple of Street Fighter figures. Yeah, and I don't remember that much from the day, but that picture is just one of the only surviving Jurassic Park pictures from my childhood, and I just sort of keep it with me today because it definitely feels like it's one of those, one of those happiest moments. And so, yeah, I'm so glad that I can still look back at that and see it. And, yeah, my dad apparently took the picture, and my mom worked really hard to get me all those toys. So, thank you so much, and Merry Christmas, Happy Roller Days. Okay, I'm going to go. Thanks, Brad. Bye.
And now let's dive into episode 13 of Extinction Level Jurassic Park.
Previously on
Extinction Level Jurassic Park.
I'd like to continue my own research on this, but I'd need my data from a Site B facility.
Then go to Sona.
Henry, your order has arrived.
Ah, finally.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, a small private jet crash-landed earlier today.
Sir, after I would like to take a team and go to the old research compound to...
That's the team on the other end. It seems we have uninvited guests. They are going to track them.
We're very close to finding a cure. Certainly now that I have this. Thank you for bringing it, Sarah.
Yeah, what is that?
This device will help me transfer the data from the tape's neural data center.
Episode 13. Heart of the Beast. With an Indian Humvee, Henry Wu, Raymond and Tim arrived at an old research facility, which was mostly taken back by jungle. They get out and Henry Wu throws a backpack out of the car onto his back. They move for the building, where Henry pushes a slightly open door further, and they move inside. As Dr. Wu walks through the corridors, he remembered the hall as it used to be. A white, clean hallway with an ongoing flow of scientists in white coats, carrying papers, carefully moving the eggs from one room to another, and even walking young dinosaurs. In his mind's eye, Wu sees one of his old colleagues carrying a baby Gallimimus to the nursery, and another taking a young, man-high brachiosaur on a leash outside for a walk. They arrived at the end of the hallway, looking into a huge factory hall, and, remembering, Henry sees the clean, shining tubes containing growing embryos around the enormous hatchery. Snapping out of his nostalgic moment, Henry shakes off his thoughts. The hallway is now covered in dust, brown-green moss and ferns, dark and dirty. Some tubes broken and the floor full of eggshells and pieces of glass. Raymond and Tim look in awe at what is displayed before them. Whoa! I'd heard of the factory floor, but I never imagined it at this scale. They move up metallic stairs, crossing the factory hall on the second floor, looking down on the embryo tubes, and continue until they arrive at the other side and the door stenciled computer room. A light next to the door indicates that there is still power and the door lock being active. Henry looks in his backpack and takes out a security card.
Let's see if this still works.
He slides his card through and... it worked. The door unlocked and old air flows out. Behind the door, a huge room is revealed as they enter. Enormous Cray 2 and ETA 10G computer units are still standing. Cray and ETA stenciled in large letters from floor to ceiling on the sides. The machines are silent, turned off. They go inside, downstairs to the ground floor. The room looks surprisingly clean, just a thin layer of dust. Then Tim spots a piece of paper on the floor. A drawing. The yellow tape on it having lost its grip. Tim makes out the Loch Ness Monster and the letters underneath that read, "No fishing." So this is the heart of the beast. Amazing. It's like nothing ever happened here.
InGen never trusted to sell these. The data on these cartridges is priceless. A decade of research.
Moving between the units, they continue to the back. Tim spots another piece of paper that moved slightly underneath of the units. He slides it out from under it with his foot and looks at a T-Rex wearing a red and white Santa hat, holding a present between its tiny claws, which he tries to hand over to a Gallimimus wearing an elf costume. The drawing reads, "Tyrannosaur Santa wishes you a Merry Christmas." At the back of the room they find huge storage tech silos, holding what Tim estimated must be thousands of data cartridges. Henry quickly moves towards the first, looking up at the wall of cartridges.
It's all still here. All this data now fits on a small number of hard drives.
Unbelievable. Henry looks down at the external hard drive he's holding in his right hand, stenciled 128 GB.
I won't even fill this one with the data I need.
He moves inside the first silo, looking at some of the labels, and then he takes out a cartridge labeled DX.
You can help me by looking for all the cartridges like this one, labeled DX, or anything else related to the health of our animals.
Tim and Raymond start looking through the racks of cartridges. Henry takes the device in the black box from his backpack, connects the external hard drive on the side of the device, and enters the cartridge into the device, which starts reading, spinning the cartridge. The device lights up and signals downloading. Time passes as cartridges are switched and downloaded onto the hard drive. Then, having lost count on how many times, The device signals done again, and Henry Wu looks up to see Raymond and Tim still looking through the silos, but not returning with any new cartridges.
That's it?
It's hard to tell. So many cartridges.
Okay, it'll have to do for now. Let's go back. I need to analyze the data we've gathered.
Henry puts the disc and the device back into his backpack, and they move for the exit of the room. Up the stairs to the second floor. Raymond in front, followed by Tim and Henry, who closes the security door and clicks it shut behind him. When they come to the point overseeing the factory hall, Raymond motions them to stop.
There are people down there.
Silently they watch for a moment.
This must be the group the security team is tracking.
What are they doing here? Then Tim thinks he recognizes someone. Is that Dr. Grant?
Grant?
Wanting to call out but stopped by Raymond, Tim looks silently at what Raymond spotted and is pointing at. A dark shape near a tube that a woman is looking at intently.
Raptors. Should we help them?
The people downstairs fled the hallway with the raptors on their tail. While Raymond moves, he is stopped by Henry.
We need to move. We can let the security team know they can find them here. Careful not to attract the attention of the raptors. Tim?
Tim is frozen down and is turning slightly white. Henry taps him softly on the shoulder, and like waking up, Tim shakes it off and quickly follows after Raymond and Henry. Running for the outdoors, Henry Wu, Tim Murphy and Raymond quickly move towards the Humvee. In the distance they hear the raptors calling.
Quickly!
They all get in, Henry Wu in the driver's seat, Raymond in the passenger seat and Tim in the back. Softly, not to attract the raptors, they move away, until they are enclosed by the jungle. Then Wu hits the gas. On the road, Tim starts to question who he saw. What would Dr. Grant be doing here?
I doubt it was Dr. Grant. We sent him some documents a few years back asking if he'd be willing to help us out, him being the expert on raptors and all, but he turned us down, saying he wanted nothing to do with InGen, or as he called it, craft of dragons.
The ground trembles, and through the woods on the left, 3 hadrosaurs come running honking through the woods, separated from the rest of the stampeding herd. Henry Wu slams the brake, and they are all thrown forward in the car, just missing the animals that crossed their path. The animals disappear again as quickly as they appeared through the woods on their right.
Everyone okay?
Yeah. They continue, but not long after, Henry Wu stops again.
What's the matter now?
Look. Up ahead.
A short distance away from them, a Tyrannosaurus is lying on the left side of the road in the sunstream coming through the trees. With his belly down on the ground, his large leg to his side, and his jaws wide open, unmoving. In the back, Tim is turning white again, unable to speak.
What's it doing there?
I guess the road is nice and warm. See the birds? It's getting a dental checkup. That's the bird feed off the parasites in his mouth.
Small birds are flying around its jaws, pecking between the teeth. Henry Wu looks back to see Tim sitting pale behind them, slightly shaking.
Tim, what's wrong? You cold? Don't worry. If the T-Rex was hungry, she would have hunted the hadrosaurs back there. I think we can move past it slowly.
I don't think. Raymond takes a tranquilizer gun and checks it.
Okay, move forward slowly. Turn your headlights off.
Turn the lights. Slowly the car moves forward. The road grinding underneath, ever closer to the Tyrannosaurus. Gently Raymond starts to lean outside of his window, taking aim with his tranquilizer gun at the dinosaur.
I can take the shot.
I don't think it's necessary.
But it's gotta be now or never. If you move any closer, it's gonna be on your side of the car, and then it will be out of my line of sight.
Give the gun to Tim. You can shoot, right, Tim?
Tim closed his eyes, trying to control his breathing, looking down. The wheels grinding on the road, a deafening sound to Tim.
Tim!
What?
Can you fire the tranquilizer gun if the Rex moves?
Tim stays silent. The car moves closer and closer, grinding. Raymond, still looking at Tim, looks back at the road.
You can fire a gun, as Ronnie told me you practiced.
It's out of my range.
Looking back around Tim, Raymond slides back inside, moving the gun carefully in, and turns to give the tranquilizer gun to Tim.
Take the gun and aim it at the Rex. If she moves, just pull the trigger. The dart will do the rest of the work.
Raymond shoves the gun into the hands of Tim, color now returning to his face as he's gathering courage. Okay, Tim maneuvers the gun out his window and takes aim, leaning slightly out the window. The eye of the Rex opens. but it remains still on the ground with its jaws open. Henry stopped the car. They are now so close they can hear the heavy breathing of the T-Rex, occasionally blowing out air through its nose. Then it closes its eyes again. Henry lets the car roll a little closer. The Rex blows out air through his mouth and the birds scatter away. The Rex started to move.
Hold on.
Then Henry hits the gas and the car shoots forward. Shaken, Tim fires the dart. Did I hit it? The Rex is getting up and they pass by the growling beast. Standing up, it turns to look after them. Henry Wu looks back in the rearview mirror and sees the Rex shaking his head. It's not chasing. Tim is looking through the back window, repeating, "Did I hit it?" Behind them, the T-Rex is slowly getting down on the ground again, now turned facing the other way, their way.
Maybe, Tim. Just maybe.
The T-Rex opens its jaws to continue the dental checkup. Raymond knows Tim missed, but he doesn't say anything. Still speeding over the jungle road, Henry Wu starts laughing.
Yes. How's that for an adrenaline rush?
You're crazy, man. I was sure it was gonna go for us.
Tim, still silently looking back, now notices how tense he is. He sighs and relaxes. Maybe we should... Just wanting to suggest to slow down, the car loses grip and slips. Raymond grabs hold and Tim slides towards Raymond's side of the back seat, and the back of the car slides towards Henry Wu's side. Then the car twists the other way, and Tim is thrown back into the other side of the car.
Ow!
What the...
Thank you for listening again, and in this episode you heard Jurassic Cast podcast Ross Lane as Henry Wu, Jurassic Park podcast's fan art segment Tom Fishenden as Raymond, and myself as Tim Murphy. Have a Merry Christmas all, and until next year when we'll learn what happened with our group after they crashed in episode 14 of Extinction Level Jurassic Park.
Alright, so that was episode 13 of Extinction Level Jurassic Park. Another great one from Arjun. This one was called Heart of the Beast. I really enjoyed this one a lot. It started off with Henry Wu, Raymond, and Tim. They arrived at the old research facility that they talked about in the last episode that he wanted to go out and visit. And one of the most interesting things I found about this episode was something new that we haven't seen, I don't think, in this story at all, or even in any of the Jurassic stories. Was kind of like a flashback of what it used to be like. Dr. Wu is kind of, traveling down the hallways, remembering what it used to be like as an active facility, and he remembers like people carrying like a Gallimimus around, walking a baby Brachiosaurus. It was so awesome, and you actually got to hear what it was like, which is really cool. Nice touch there. And he did remember like tubes with growing embryos and stuff like that, and it definitely unlocked something in our memories about Jurassic Park 3 and walking through that facility and just wondering, what did they do here? What was it like? And, what was it like as an active place? Because it is kind of confusing when you see it in the movie. You're like, I really wonder what this facility was like. It was very different from the one in Jurassic Park. And also in this segment, there was something really interesting. The power still worked, apparently. It unlocked, they were able to unlock a door, which obviously sounded exactly the same as the ones in Jurassic Park. Nice touch again. And if we find out that it is a computer room, and they were looking for data cartridges labeled DX. And they bring that device, which is able to, I guess, download these cartridges on there and save the information. So they did all that. They searched as hard as they could, found all the cartridges that they could. And as they're walking out of this computer room, they notice a few people below in this factory hall, which is very reminiscent of something we've seen before again. And Tim and Wu think that they recognize Dr. Grant. And they notice a woman that's looking at a tube and a dark shape behind it. Amanda Kirby obviously screams. The raptors are going crazy, and people are fleeing all over the place. Tim sort of freezes as he's watching this all go down. I'm guessing he has a little bit of PTSD again that we kind of heard about before. And after a little bit, they kind of, wake Tim up and, snap him out of it, and they run out of the building. after seeing all that stuff unfold below them that we saw in Jurassic Park 3 from a different perspective, which is very, very cool. You know, in the movie, we had no clue that anything was happening above us or anything was being downloaded, any DX cartridges or anything like that. So it was really cool to see it from a different perspective. So what happens is they run out of the building and towards their Humvee, and they're hearing the Raptors call like we did in the movie. Now, I guess they kind of take a second to, after they get out of there, they're really confused as to why somebody that looked like Dr. Grant would be there. So it's interesting that they saw down there and they didn't recognize him at all. Tim didn't recognize him exactly, I guess. Dr. Wu, he really only saw him for a few minutes. But you'd think Tim would be like, oh my god, that is Dr. Grant 100%. But they seem to be kind of confused, and certainly Dr. Wu was doubting that it was him due to trying, I guess at one point they tried to get help from him for InGen, you know, after the incident sometime, but he wanted no part of that, obviously. We can tell from his words in Jurassic Park 3 that he's like, no way, you know, no force on Earth will ever get me back to that island. Moving on here, after that, they're driving in this Hummer, and they just miss a Hadrosaur stampede, so that was a good thing they just missed that. Up ahead, actually, they do notice that a T-Rex is sleeping on the ground in the sun, kind of sunbathing, I guess, catching some rays. And one of the really cool things that they threw into this episode was the birds feeding off its teeth. And I really love that about this because it creates a very natural scenario for this and makes them more animalistic in a way, you know, not such monsters. And I don't know if you saw, it's not really spoilers or anything, but Kong Skull Island, that movie, I'm confusing myself. Is that the name of the movie or the ride in Universal? Anyway, you get the picture. You know what I'm talking about. In that movie, there's a few scenes where like Kong is very animalistic, and you see stuff like that, like making him more of an animal, not such of a monster. So I like that aspect in this. You get to see birds feeding off the T-Rex's teeth, taking bacteria or whatever. But at that point, this Humvee tries to sneak past the Rex, which is, you know, obviously a dumb move, right? I mean, you can hear the car slowly trying to sneak past. It's pretty comical because, you know, that usually tends to go wrong. Raymond is pretty, you know, actively trying to like aim at this dinosaur with his tranq gun. Wu stops him. He's like, no, don't shoot it. Let's try to sneak past. But at one point, I guess Tim is the only person who can actually shoot at this dinosaur because of the angles there. They're still slowly rolling past, and, you know, Tim is kind of spooked as the gas pedals hit and accidentally shoots the dart. Whether he hits it or not, I don't think he actually does. I think they try to say that, like, his aim was off a little bit and they didn't want to tell him. But the T-Rex obviously freaks out a little bit from the commotion there. You know, he jumps up and he roars a little bit and gets back down, lays back down in the sun, and everything's okay, but not at the end. Wu actually loses control of the vehicle and it crashes, and it's a real cliffhanger there. That's one of the biggest cliffhangers we've had so far, so I feel like this is really getting kicked off with a bit of action, which is really awesome. So far, I feel like Arjun has been, you know, laying the groundwork for what this story is about, and now it feels like it's really kicking off and we're in the action with the people from Jurassic Park 3, which is a really, really awesome touch. In this episode, we only had the three actors there, Arjun, Ross Lane, and Tom Fishenden. Ross is doing a killer job as Dr. Wu. I love his portrayal of it. And we had some really great music here. What was it? Michael Giacchino and Brian Tyler for some like Iron Man music and stuff like that. So really great stuff, and I love the nice Christmas touch that Arjun threw into this episode. Great job. Every week, he's killing it on the timing. So perfect, dude. So that was episode 13. Stay tuned for episode 14 of Extinction Level Jurassic Park in 2 weeks' time.
If I don't innovate, somebody else will.
Due to technical difficulties, all our
exhibits are now closed.
You are acting like we are engaged in some kind of mad science.
And Zara here is going to take great care of you until I'm done working tonight, okay?
Bigger, scarier, cooler, I believe is the word that you used in your memo.
Any incidents?
Yeah, 6 kids in the lost and found, 28 down with heat stroke.
All of this exists because of me.
Just like taking a stroll through the woods 65 million years ago.
Hello everyone, it's Tom back here again today. I thought I would talk today about the Mattel products, and I'd kind of talk a little bit about the kind of stuff I want to see from the Mattel line. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into it. Now, when you head to the podcast page, you'll see some very iffy mock-ups I threw together, to put it nicely, but they kind of give the general idea on what it is I'd like to see from the line. So firstly, in terms of figures, a big thing for me with action figures, and I've always had this since I was a kid, is the need for good quality articulation. I was always a big Star Wars fan as a kid, and I always used to get all the Clone Wars figures, so I remember things went downhill a lot for me in terms of my collecting when they started going to 5 points of articulation and stuff like that. That, for me, selling products with 5 points of articulation and charging more money for the stuff with better articulation really aggravated me as a child. So coming into now adult collecting, I'm really hopeful that with the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World lines, we're getting products which are the best they can be for children to get their hands on, and also for collectors to get their hands on, without any of the cheaper lines or things like that. I get that there is obviously always the margin between affordability and the quality of a product, but I feel like you should always sell the best quality products to your consumers. So, with that subtle little dig at Hasbro that I wasn't actually planning on including in the podcast, we're going to move on and talk about what I want to see from Mattel. So, with the action figures, as I was saying, good articulation. I really like accurate accessories, although I can appreciate a need for playable accessories. So for me, I think finding a balance between the two would be important. So say for example, if you had an Owen Grady figure, I would have to have him come with his rifle and his knife. Those I think are two very iconic accessories for the character. But then if Mattel wanted to get a little bit creative with the other accessories they included just to add some playability to the figure, that wouldn't be a problem with me as long as we had those iconic accessories. You can also get quite creative in terms of the accessories you include. I mean, with Alan Grant, for example, we could get a removable hat, a raptor claw, a flare. There's kinds of lots of different options there in terms of accessories you could pull from the screen and give collectors. And on the subject of accessories, their Ghostbusters figures actually looked really, really well done in terms of accessories. They were detailed, they were properly coloured, everything there looked really, really good. So that's something that we'll hopefully see as we progress and actually get the figures from this line as well. So moving on, in terms of I guess dinosaurs, I just want, again, nicely articulated dinosaurs. Dino damage is quite an iconic feature, so it might be something that would be nice to see, but for me personally, it's not essential. I really like nicely sculpted dinosaurs that look like the creatures they're supposed to. They look accurate, they look realistic, so for me, kind of ticking those boxes is important, although things like dino damage, again, may be important for the playability aspects. Now, I seem to recall, I think it may have been the Jurassic Outpost article talking about the Mattel product lines, some kind of discussion about some like capture technology being included. That could be something that I would be down for. I think that could be quite cool to see, and that is something that I would definitely enjoy having implemented, because it does seem like, especially in Fallen Kingdom, a great focus is going to be put on actually capturing the dinosaurs, so that could be something cool to see. Then in terms of vehicles, I always like my vehicles to have a pack-in exclusive figure. I think that often draws me to vehicles a lot more than other things do. So you'll see a mock-up for the 6x6 To make it more exciting, I would include an ACU trooper, probably Hamada, just so you get an exclusive figure included with it. It kind of makes it a bit more valuable as a collectible item, because being honest with you, unless you're implementing some kind of wacky damage features, vehicles like the 6x6 are basically just simple cars. So obviously their tie-in figure would make that more exciting. With things like the Ford Explorer, of course, you could actually include damage features. With the Jeep Wrangler, you could have the ability to swap parts out to make one with a canvas, one with the boxes on the back. So you do have options there to really create products that are adaptable and interchangeable. But ideally, for me personally, I'd also like some kind of exclusive figure. Even if it's just a variant, I remember an example I thought of was maybe if Owen's bicycle came with him in the shirt he wears rather than him having the tracker vest on. That would be quite a nice way of just giving you some additional value and really some additional exclusivity. I can never say that word properly, with the vehicles you're buying. And then lastly, in terms of the kind of play sets and set pieces we get, I would really like to see kind of smaller structures and pieces of fencing and things like that integrated into the line as well. I know when I was a kid, I always used to love throwing together dioramas and little scenes. One thing that sticks with me is I remember I used to use little building blocks to create trenches for my Star Wars troopers. So giving kids that kind of flexibility in terms of being able to buy structures and things, whilst also giving adult collectors the ability to get structures for dioramas would be really, really nice. Here, of course, I wouldn't complain about a lot of creativity, as at the end of the day, a lot of the structures here would have to be creative to be affordable, because they couldn't necessarily be large in scale, but a couple of larger scale accurate set locations would also be quite nice as well. The visitor centre, probably not feasible, does still pop into my mind at least though. So kind of a couple of locations like that maybe as well, if they find a way to do it in a way where they're not going to cost consumers a lot of money. I think affordability is the key thing for me here, and also availability. I want to be able to get these in stores, which I'm sure, compared to some of Mattel's other licenses, they won't have a problem getting the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World licenses into stores, because they are obviously such, I guess, cult brands in terms of how iconic they are in our culture now. In terms of something else I wanted to touch on, I hope that we get a nice balance of both named characters and generic characters. So what I mean by that is obviously we want Alan Grant, we want Ian Malcolm, we want Owen Grady, we want Claire Dearing, we want all of our named characters. Maybe some of the named characters who are less prominent, like Vic Hoskins, you know, the other characters who are still there but not necessarily main characters. But I'd also like generic park workers, generic ACU troopers, generic Jurassic World construction people, all those kinds of generic characters who again could be vehicle tie-ins, just so again you have the flexibility in terms of creating displays, creating your own stories, that kind of stuff. Because for me as a kid and actually growing up into an adult collector, I really like having the ability to have generic characters so I can set up my own displays, which is probably why I'm so keen on the Lego side of things. So to get that kind of generic park worker figures from Mattel I think would be nice, and in all honesty I think it's quite likely as well. I mean, you look at any action figure line like Star Wars, you always have your abundance of generic troopers. Army lines, you always get generic characters, like in G.I. Joe you always get your bog standard soldiers. So I'm quite excited to see what they do with the generic characters here, and I think at the very least we'll at least see a couple of ACU troopers. So really guys, what I'd like to see is accurate stuff which has an air of fun about it, so obviously it appeals to children, but which is going to lend itself nicely to displays as well. This is something that Mattel have a track record in doing very well with, so I'm incredibly hopeful in terms of what we're going to get, and I reckon we're going to get some really, really cool stuff from the line. But as always guys, drop your thoughts below on our social media, on the comments page on our website. Let us know what you want to see from the Mattel line, and who knows, maybe we can do another episode on this in the future talking about what you guys, the Jurassic fans, want to see from the line as well. That's all for today guys, take care, this is Tom signing off.
Make sure to visit JurassicParkPodcast.com to find all our past episodes, brand new news articles, information on how to contact us, and much more. It's a great source for everything related to the podcast, and of course, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Head to JurassicParkPodcast.com and help us build a great community.
Anybody hear that?
Thanks for listening to the 130th episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast. Of course, a big thanks to Arjun for another great installment of Extinction Level Jurassic Park. We got an awesome look at the action in and around Jurassic Park 3 from new and interesting perspectives. I absolutely love this segment. Keep up the good work, Arjun, and we'll actually be having him on in the new year to discuss his work so far on Extinction Level Jurassic Park. I can't forget to thank everybody who called into this episode with your stories. I really loved hearing them. Thank you so much for calling in. Merry Christmas, everybody. And last but not least, thank you to everybody who is involved in the podcast. You've all helped out so much over the past year, deferring some of the work as I had my first child and made things a bit easier on me. So thank you so much to Jennifer Tarrick, Aaron Beyer, Jay Jurassic, James Hawkins, Steve Hurl, Ted Brothers, Travis Stevens, Arjun Boss, Tom Fishenden, Victoria's Cantina, Chris Lanham, Crisscross Media, Jared Courtney, Josh Evans, Stephen Ray Morris, Jack Ewan, Sam Phillips, Ross Lane, Justin Van Toll, Jim Termulin, Sabrina and Garrett, Dan Karan, Kyle and Brady from Jurassic Park Minute, Ben Pearson, Jack Horner, Nathan Vader, Gary Richards, Bo Merritt, Jaros, Veronica, Amy, Michael Pierce, of course my wife for putting up with my Jurassic obsession, and of course everybody who has contributed to Extinction Level Jurassic Park. And guys, especially all of you, the listeners, for making this an incredible year for the podcast. Thank you so much. If you want to interact with us, we do most of our work over on Twitter at Jurassic Park Pod. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Jurassic Park Podcast, and our Instagram handle is at Jurassic Park Podcast. You can listen to us via iTunes, Google Play, Podomatic, YouTube, our website, or wherever else podcasts are found. So make sure to subscribe to automatically get new episodes every week. If you haven't already, please give us a 5-star review in iTunes or a great review wherever you listen to the podcast. It will seriously help out our rankings and make it easier for fans like you to find us. We're usually spotted commenting on the Jurassic Park subreddit as Jurassic Park Podcast. Don't forget to check out JurassicParkPodcast.com for all the links you heard here today. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us with any news stories, MP3s, comments, or if you want to debut a segment of your own, send them to JurassicParkPod@gmail.com. Or you can submit questions directly on our website contact form. If you'd like to record something for the show, send it in to us and we'll feature it in an upcoming episode. If you don't have any way to record, you can give our voicemail line a call and leave us a message. That number is 732-825-7763. Thank you so much for listening. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And of course, enjoy.
No, I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
You will remember to wash your hands before you eat anything.
5 minutes. Drop what you're doing and leave now.